I am very excited about tonight's big announcement. You might have heard earlier today.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Let me in.
Hey, this is the Toxic Reign Scandal featuring Turnbuckle King TBK. We are here tonight, this evening, for a very good one. Get to see the locker room. We're going to talk about why Tony Khan may fumble Warner Brothers offer. We're going to talk about it. We're going to definitely talk about it tonight. Tony Khan, he's been have a lot of change in AEW. At the recent AEW Double or Nothing, had a little returns and some an injury, but he's middle of talks reportedly with, of course, Warner Brothers. And allegedly, Tony Khan is allegedly disappointed with offer from Warner Bros. Discovery. They said that AEW's future with Warner Bros. Discovery remains in question as contract talks progress. Now, they said that before Double or Nothing, Tony Khan spoke to Sports Illustrated regarding this issue. And they say he spoke to Sports Illustrated regarding AEW media rights deal, saying this is going to work out really well for AEW. We're having great talks, and people should feel very confident about what it means for the wrestlers, staff, and the fans. But it said a recent report paints a slightly less optimistic picture. It said, according to the Puck's Matthew Belloni, Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, and TNT Sports head Luis Silberwasser would like to keep AEW programming on TNT and TBS, but said the clock is ticking. And it said that I'm told with the exclusive window closing in July, which would be literally a little over a month, they said Tony Khan is very disappointed with the offer currently on the table. And it said that AEW could gain more leverage if Warner Bros. Discovery loses NBA broadcasting rights, which we know happened. And they said even though AEW renewal cost is some small compared to NBA, if Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't secure a deal with AEW, other competitors could vie for the promotions programming. And it said they questioned AEW's appeal to other platforms, noting only non-WWE partners could bid, meaning TNA, NWA, etc., and so forth. Despite this, Belloni noted that AEW performs well on Turner networks. I don't know how that's possible because they barely get ratings, but teach his own, calling it reliable programming, and that a competing bidder could pressure Zaslav in the negotiations. But then, however, Tony Khan, they just recently celebrated the 5-year relationship of Warner Bros. Discovery with AEW Double or Nothing, and he called the relationship between Warner Bros. Discovery and AEW between both parties amazing. But Tony Khan, however, did say, I would like to absolutely love to stay here as long as they will have us. We're having great talks with them. There's exclusive period, and we're in it. I'm very blessed to be having great talks with them in this period. We'll see what happens. AEW media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery is set to expire at the end of 2024. So that is the whole story. It said Tony Khan's very upset about this issue. And the question is, is Tony Khan going to fumble this? Because he has a great opportunity here. Let's see who came to the locker room. King Roo, salute to you. What's going on? Figure 4 TV, salute to you. Appreciate you coming out. Yeah, guys. Tony Khan, this is the thing. If he does not take advantage of this offer, there will be no more AEW and Warner Brothers. There'll be no more of it. And then when he doesn't take advantage and offer someone else, dude, like they say, only a non-WWE competitor can bid on it. He's gonna wish like he did. He's gonna wish like he really did. Honestly, he's gonna regret that. Because I'm telling you guys, AEW renewing with Warner Bros. Discovery, even they said in the article, you better do it now because this is your best time to do it.
Your time is up. My time is now.
Yes, the time is now to renew that contract with Warner Brothers. Basically, at least verbally agree that you want to do it. And you better not wait till it's too late because this is the only special announcement I want to hear when you come on TV, Tony Khan.
I am very excited about tonight's big announcement. You might have heard earlier today.
Yeah, when I hear that you doing those little special announcements, the one that's going to mean the most, it better be that, hey, we renewed our deal with Warner Bros. Discovery and we're here to stay. Because if you don't, it's going to be a big, big mistake. You need to keep that going, Tony. I don't know what you're waiting for. And as we all know, if you don't know, you know that the NBA deal with TNT is pretty much done. You know that's done. Now, I heard that it may not be officially done, but they're more likely saying that the inside the NBA, the show with Barkley, Shaq, EJ, and Kenny Smith is over. But thing about it is, it said that this is what may hurt AEW. This may hurt AEW. There's a report stating NBA Commissioner Adam Silver reveals TNT deal may not be dead just yet. This was a few days ago. And I can show that to you guys right now. And this is, I'm not making this up, because if they could somehow get a deal with TNT and it's not dead, that means AEW's for sure done. And there'll be no chance for these boys. Let me show you guys that real quick. This is going to be crazy. This is officially not done. What does this mean for AEW? This is wow, guys. He needs to Tony needs to do something. If you guys look there, look right there. It says that the TNT deal may not be dead just yet. If you guys can see that. Now I'm gonna read what it says. It says that although it sounds like NBA televised broadcast could be wholly redistributed, they say league commissioner Adam Silver insisted that nothing was quite set in stone as the negotiations allegedly continue. They said the present deal, which distributes between Disney, ABC, and ESPN, and Warner Brothers, lasts through the 24-25 NBA season. So he said that they asked him, he was called by TMZ outside the White House at Washington, D.C. on Thursday. They said, who knows? We're still talking. Who knows how it's going to work out? And it said that Disney is rumored to shell out $2.8 billion annually for the A package to be distributed across ESPN and ABC. B package is going to be Comcast/NBC Universal to the tune of $2.5 billion. C package is said to be offloaded to Amazon Prime Video with the bargain price of $2 billion. And said if it happens, then yes, the Inside NBA will come to an end. So this is very, very interesting, guys. Very interesting. This is not good. This is not good for AEW. They said allegedly that this may not be the end of the deal between Warner Brothers and TNT, and of course NBA, because they may not renew. If they renew, then that's it. AEW, they're not going to play around with AEW if they can work out some NBA. So I think AEW pretty much is a backup plan. I mean, it's nothing set in stone, but the way I see it, it seemed like AEW is a backup plan to TNT. That's if. It's a good if now. NBA doesn't work. So that's something to heavily consider. Definitely to heavily consider, guys. It don't look good for AEW. And Tony Khan, you got to put your pride and ego to the side, because you guys are just a backup plan. They are not meant to be around. That's the crazy part about it. King Rube said, hostile takeover / AEW takedown. Could be. Who knows? I know they gotta do something. Also, let's look at the ratings. We're gonna look at the ratings of each show. Should TNT renew AEW? That's the question too. And I don't know if they said they've been putting out good numbers, but let's see if they should. We got ratings here from, we'll start with Dynamite. Now, this is the Dynamite ratings thus far. This is start from 2024. If you guys look, they have 797,000 viewers in the beginning of January, 891, 837, 818, 811, 828, 822, 7779. And then their biggest show, the Big Business, was 798, 800,000. If you notice, they have not reached 1 million views the whole year thus far. Not 1 million views for one show. Not all year. So they have not even reached that plateau. Now, they put up some very fairly numbers, but considering their roster and the star power they have, you expect more and expect better. And if you don't expect better, I'm telling you right now, that's all cap.
That's cap. Totally cap.
Now that's AEW Dynamite numbers. This right here is AEW Dynamite. This is all for the year. Now we're gonna go to Rampage. This is their secondary show that comes on Fridays. Dynamite was the one come on Wednesdays. That's their A show. Now this is Rampage. Now if you look for Rampage, they had 406,000, 396, 390, 382, 314, 300,000. They reached 500,000 or more when it was special airing, and that was on Wednesday. As you see, Friday is not the so much best night to put on a wrestling show. That's more of the slowest hour. The highest number they had all year for Rampage was literally maybe, I don't know, 456,000. That was their highest number, and that doesn't look too good. So that's their Friday show. I don't know if that'll make a big difference, but it's not their best numbers. And they may be, and I said before you get rid of Rampage. Now we're gonna look at Collision, the newest show that airs on Saturdays. So this will be the all this year for Saturday for Collision coming up right now. You got Collision. In Collision, you got 402,000 the first, for the beginning of the year. 400, 300, 404, 491. The highest number I see was the April 27th episode of 621,000. And remember, when this show first debuted, CM Punk was a part of AEW. And when CM Punk was a part of AEW, Collision was hitting over 1 million views. I remember watching it then. And that's when Collision was on fire. They still had Andrade over here. They still had other people that's still with AEW. This before Edge came over, any of that. So the highest number was 621,000. They only hit over 500,000 besides April 27th episode, May 18th recently, and that's it. Saturday's it ain't that much better than the Fridays if you look at the right ratings for Fridays. Rampage, they had 300, 400,000. Collision, not that much better. Not that much better. So that's how they Ray's been doing all year for AEW. So let's see. Came into the locker room because we airing some dirty laundry right now. The Bell 503, salute to you. Appreciate you coming out. That's right. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. Keep the notification bell on. Carl Myers, salute to you, man. Thanks for coming out. DDE, salute to you. But yeah, guys, this is Tony Khan needs to take into consideration. No other network is going to go for these kind of ratings, these viewerships. So he needs to take advantage and get with the program and go ahead and re-sign with the Warner Brothers Discovery and stop playing around, because you're not going to get this opportunity like that again. I highly doubt you get this kind of opportunity. So it's best you take advantage of the opportunity stand in front of you, because like I said, then you're going to be feeling all mad if you don't do it. Then you'll get all angry, all upset, and bent out of shape. You're going to wish you did do that. You're going to wish you did sign with the Warner Bros. Discovery. So you don't want to get into that mode. You really don't want to get into that mode. So yeah, you don't want to do that at all. But yeah, Tony Khan, I think if he doesn't get this right, he's gonna fumble this bag, because he's not happy with the offer. He's saying like business well, but he's not happy with the offer nonetheless. He's just not happy with it at all. So I think he needs to get right and get better with this whole issue. That's why I think it'd be the best situation for him. He needs to do that, and he needs to get on board. Now, we know that he recently did an interview. This is like earlier to, like maybe an hour or two ago, but he was on the Rich Eisen show, and he talks about AEW. So we're gonna see if Tony Khan really knows what's the best for business for AEW, and should he re-sign that contract, because he needs a network to display his shows. He needs a network to display his wrestlers. They need a major TV deal, especially with WWE going to Netflix. So that's just something he needs to do. Tony, stop playing around. Lulu V3, welcome to the locker room. Yo, salute to you. But yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get to the interview right now. Tony Khan with Rich Eisen. So let's see what he has to say regarding this whole thing. All right. Let's credit to Rich Eisen.
We brought in some internet age. I think all the fans could see how much all the wrestlers respected Sting, and to give him like the perfect send-off from AEW, I thought it was awesome.
What about poaching somebody from WWE? What about signing any free agents from there?
Well, we've done well. You know, we just brought in the brand new TBS champion who's going to appear on AEW tonight, Mercedes Moné, who's a former champion in WWE. We brought in some international stars that I think are some of the top stars. We also had, to me, one of the best free agents we could get, the Rated R superstar, Adam Copeland. He was supposed to be appearing tonight at the Forum, and he had a big role in the show tonight. It's been one of those long weeks for me. I've been doing rewrites and up all night working, because Adam was going to be a big part of the show. He's the TNT champion as it stands right now, and he jumped off the top of the cage at Double or Nothing. And Adam's a huge part of what we do.
That's one of the problems in your company now. You got guys, you're not, make sure you guys are safe. You got Adam Copeland do whatever he wants to do. For you guys you don't know, I did a short on this yesterday. Adam Copeland jumped off the cage at AEW Double or Nothing in this match against Malachi Black for the TNT Championship. He broke not one but two tibia, and he's gonna be out for a long time. He more likely going to vacate this belt. So all this as it stays still TNT champion. Tony, you know that you're gonna have to vacate that belt. You know what's going on. Don't play dumb.
I didn't know that. You know what you did. I know what you're talking about. I was fair and square. You know what you're a legend, man.
You know what you did, Tony. You know that that man has to vacate that belt. Let's continue on.
I wasn't expecting him to be out with fractured leg.
Right.
So that's probably one of the biggest free agents you can get, and he's come in the past year. I think in the future we'd be very open to that if there's people that want to come to AEW, and I think there will be people that want to come here, because right now I say this is where the best wrestle, because I believe we have the best roster, and that's our mindset. You know, I think we've had so far this year.
That's cap. Totally cap.
3 for 3 on pay-per-view. They've all been really great. It's a great run for us, not unlike the great 3 for 3 run I saw you have recently. I was watching the show and you had Jerry Seinfeld on, and it was one of the best interviews I've ever seen.
You're nice, Tony.
And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the platform and the whole thing, and it's like the whole set is now immortalized by Jerry.
I have not made any changes. No, that has not happened.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you didn't listen to suggestions. And and then on Saturday Night Live to hear
name checked
talk about you and the show, that was awesome. And then to see you at the Tom Brady roast, it was awesome. And you know, I thought that was like the coolest 3 things I saw probably ever for somebody in a week.
Thanks, bud.
And now, you know, I think, like I said, we're on a great run in AEW, but nobody's going to touch the run you've been on.
Yeah, you're
Do you guys really think that AEW's been on a great run as of late? Because as far as I'm concerned, I know that's a lie.
That's cap. Totally cap.
You're not on a great run, Tony. You said a wrestler that you said was a big part of your program injured, out. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. What do you guys think of that? Nameless said, do you think AEW has redeemed itself from 1 month ago? What was that, Dynasty? 1 month ago, redeemed itself? What do I think of that? What do I think of that? Hasn't really redeemed.
No chance in hell. No chance in hell.
No way they redeem themselves. They redeem themselves when they put out a better product. Yeah, the AEW is struggling. They have not redeemed themselves. Just because you got Mercedes Moné, just because you got Adam Copeland who's hurt now, and you had a returning MJF, it's still more groundwork that you need to do. You still need to step it up, AEW, and I don't think he's doing that yet. And Tony Khan, he think that it's just something about Tony Khan, like he lost his mind. Let's continue on to see with this in this interview.
You're such a charmer, Tony Khan. But I mean, it's not like the NFL where you can't mention names. Is it tampering or anything like that sort of thing?
It's like, I think it's the same mindset where it's like, I don't want to try to tamper and do those things. Sure. I try to keep it classy, and I really have a reputation for honesty, and I really want.
That's cap. Totally cap.
To be a fair businessman, but it's the wrestling business is a really cutthroat business.
Well, I mean, obviously you can get TK Driver. I mean, Becky Lynch is a free agent within a week. So, is that a name that you'd be interested in?
Well, I mean, again, you just you invoked the tampering word, the T word.
Okay.
But TJ's over
there.
there.
Only talk about the players who are here, Rich.
That's right. Well, yeah. But TJ's over there. You would advocate for something like that.
I mean, she's one of the biggest stars on the planet Earth. So anyone who has any type of wrestling company should be making that phone call to her, because she brings a huge fan base.
Absolutely. Great.
Are they trying to plant seeds to get Becky Lynch over to AEW, despite the rumors? Tony, are you trying to tell us something, man? Are you trying to tell us something? Because you know that's tampering, Tony. You lost your mind if you think that's not tampering. Come on, Tony. Come on, Tony, man. You're crazy, man. Let's continue on with this interview. They know they went over there. They're planting seeds.
Massive star power.
Okay. Tony Khan here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right. In the few minutes I have left with you here, I do want to hit on a couple things going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars, including your former kicker, now on the Washington Commanders, Brandon McManus, accused of.
Okay, we're not listening about no Jacksonville Jaguars, who's here for AEW. I ain't gonna do you guys like that. That was the end of that interview between Tony Khan and Rich Eisen. But that's the thing, should TNT renew AEW? And it seemed like Tony Khan, it seemed like was hinting at Becky Lynch is about to be a free agent next few days. And it seems like they're also talking about how they have the best roster in the wrestling business. That's a lie. They do not have the best roster. That is a lie. He know it. Come on, don't play us, Tony Khan. But the thing about it is, should TNT renew AEW? Because I think that if the NBA is not going to officially be with TNT, if it's done officially, despite all the packages I read earlier, they should go ahead and renew AEW. But if Tony Khan will take advantage of it, he's going to miss out. He's going to miss his turn, and then he's going to regret it. So then he's going to blame it on the propaganda. He may blame it on politics. He may pull one of the Roman Reigns cards.
Spoken and spun like a true politician. I mean,
he may pull that card. You never know with Tony Khan. That's what he does. So don't be surprised if Tony Khan try to be on some real slicker type of stuff. Well, who knows? But there is another interview, another video. It ain't so much an interview. It's about TNT losing the rights, the NBA rights deal to NBC and Amazon, despite what the commissioner Adam Silver said. There is something going on with that, so I would like to play that, see what these guys talk about. It's the Love Batard show, so let's see what these guys have to say regarding the thing. So salute to this podcast. Let's see what they have to say, because they're definitely, if they do lose it, that's done. DDE said, I think the MJF storylines kind of carry AEW. What storylines he had currently, DDE? Is this the Adam Cole promo he cut at AEW Double or Nothing where he attacked Adam Cole? Are they still running with that? Or he's going to feud with somebody else? If so, that'd be great. But you need something more than just MJF. But let's see. We're going to hear about the TNT loses NBA deal. I'll pull it up right now. Let's see what they say about it.
Forgive me for a second here as I try to get caught up on reading breaking news. Sports Business Journal is reporting that the NBA, this stinks, will formalize new deals with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon this week. NBC will air Basketball Night in America on Sunday nights after the NFL season, and this means that next season will be the last for TNT and Inside the NBA. So the best sports studio show there's ever been. Charles Barkley won another Emmy last night, as he always does as part of that show. It would appear that one of the most popular shows in the history of television, not just sports television, it's the most popular studio show in the history of sports television. But it ends, right, David? How does it get saved? It means next season will be the last, not this season. You'll get one more year of it. But is there anything that rescues that? David Sampson with us. Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast. He talks about other things other than business, but he is an authority on business stuff. Better coverage of business than I've seen anywhere in the sports media field, where it gets covered very poorly. Explain to me what all of this means, David, and if there's any avenue for saving the show that all of us seem to love.
Well, you love the people, not the show. And so the question is, do any of the new networks who have rights to show basketball games, will they try to hire Shaq, Kenny, and Charles? And will Ernie follow up on his promise not to leave Turner? And the thought is that he likes his life. He doesn't necessarily want to leave Atlanta. Could the show continue in Atlanta just for a different network? Is there studio space? Is any of that possible? The answer is yes. So I think it's way too early to say Inside the NBA is done, because it's like saying David Letterman changed when he went from NBC to CBS. it was still the David Letterman show. He just couldn't call it the top 10. But I believe that studio show could still exist.
All right. This is an interesting conversation to have. And Mike, you've worked a lot in the production of things. All the guys on that show say that Ernie Johnson is the most important chemical. Most people would not argue that. They'd argue that Charles Barkley is the most important, but those guys do need to love and respect enough someone to allow him to rein them in, and they do trust Ernie that way. Do you believe a host is that important to that show that if Ernie decides to stay at TNT, the other guys will do it with someone else?
100%. He's the straw that stirs the drink over there, because you have a lot of talents, primarily in Shaq and Charles. Even before Shaq arrived there, they kind of freelance. It's very improvisational, and that's what kind of is the draw to that show. And you need someone there to just keep the show moving along. But it's also a credit to the producers that help build this show that's really like no other. But I will say that I think they're going to be fine. Like we were talking about, that Amazon certainly has disposable income, and they don't have shoulder programming. ESPN, they've tried for 20 years to replicate their formula. They haven't. NBC presently, I know that they have studio talents in their employ, but they don't necessarily have an NBA studio show yet. So you have 3 destinations that would love to microwave the studio leader, a perennial Emmy favorite when it comes to studio shows. I think if I'm Amazon, what I do is I ask Turner, what do you want for the Atlanta studio space? We bring everybody back. Basically, Turner is now Amazon, and you just wipe your hands of it. Everybody's happy.
Am I not the only one that thinks that Ernie is just playing the negotiating game? Everyone, because he's so fundamentally decent, everyone's just taking him at his word. I think he's just playing the game here.
I think Ernie's not leaving, and I think those guys won't leave Ernie.
I think Ernie will leave for the right number if he's with his guys. Like, I think he's just playing the game right here.
Ernie Johnson came out and said, I'm not leaving
Turner. That's just that's negotiating.
Well,
I think because
I think you're forgetting a few things about Ernie, and don't forget in the past when Ernie was sick, there's just a lot of things that would indicate that. I don't think that Ernie would need to play that card publicly. And as far as leverage goes, they've got all the leverage. They don't need to leak leverage. They don't need to play that leverage publicly. They know that the networks need them. Barkley knows it, Shaq knows it, Kenny knows it, and Ernie knows it. The people who generally use PR for leverage are those who don't have it.
But he doesn't need to leave Turner, per se. He says he doesn't want to leave Turner. Okay, right. You give him a carve-out for baseball and all the other Turner things that you're a part of. And when you say you don't want to leave Turner, what you're really saying is you don't want to leave your life. You don't want to leave the comforts of home. So you just make that the mecca for wherever Amazon or NBC or even ESPN decides to have their tentpole studio show. I think as attractive as the NBA deal is, now you have a whole world of possibilities with the standard when it comes to sports coverage in Turner. And I think they're looking at it as they're a free agent too.
And it may need to be renamed. It's possible, we don't know. Does Turner own Inside the NBA, quote unquote? In which case you just rename it. It really is based on the people. And in terms of replacing Ernie, you find another conductor, and it sounds like it's impossible. There'd be no way to replace him. But I assure you, everybody, we're all replaceable. And so I don't worry. They're not going to not have Barkley and Shaq and Kenny do a show because Ernie won't do it or they can't come to an agreement. Much like if Charles decides that he can't come to an agreement, the show will go on with somebody else.
If you think Adam Lefkoe's not going to jump at that opportunity, you're insane.
Right.
I should tell the audience and Chris Cody, though, that in my history in the media, there are very few people that I would believe more when they're saying something publicly than Ernie Johnson. It's not just that he's a decent person, it's that he prides himself on being fundamentally honest.
Just what his agent wants you to think.
Chris, he doesn't need the leverage. I mean,
but you always need more leverage.
I'm just saying, if he ends up at another network,
Ernie doesn't.
But what you're saying is not an impossible thing for ESPN, NBC, or Amazon to overcome. They can hear that note and say, okay, what we'll present to you is your life stays as is. And guess what? Here's a little pay bump. So I think that there's a very logical path here for us to keep getting what we know now as Inside the NBA, which also, by the way, is probably up for negotiation too. You can license that name or what have you. If I were to bet on it, I think that you're just going to see it move places.
Which way would you bet, David?
That those guys will find a home somewhere else, and it will be with a different conductor, not Ernie. That would be my bet. And I think that people are going to act all surprised today. And if you listen to the Sporting Class with Skipper and Pablo or any Nothing Personal, we've known that Turner wasn't going to re-up. We've known it for over a year when David Zaslav, forget sitting courtside in Nick hat, that's all a bunch of crap, no one cares. He cautioned the analysts on Wall Street, we don't need the NBA and we're not going to lose money because the shareholders really don't care about the NBA or inside the NBA or Barkley or Ernie. They care about EPS. They care about shareholder value and appreciation. And he cautioned the street that.
Wow. So this shows that maybe, according to these guys, the LeVar, maybe it's like a 50-50 thing. Tony could go to AEW, go to TNT and resign, but there's one part saying that NBA may leave TNT. It seems like it's a disagreement between Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Barkley. They all on one side, and Ernie Johnson don't want to leave TNT. So he's staying on Turner. He ain't going to be with those guys. But it sounds like more likely it's up in the air. It sounds like, according to this interview, this was a week ago, more leaning towards NBA leaving Turner Sports, especially what the CEO said of Turner Sports, saying they don't need the NBA. They don't need them. So they may go over elsewhere to AEW, where the price is going to be a lot cheaper compared to NBA, where I think it's over $2 billion. So Tony Khan, like I said, he still have a chance to sign and renew the deal. Like I said, his time is up. His time is now. The NBA time is up. His time is now.
Your time is up. My time is now.
So that could very well be the case with Tony Khan. You better take advantage of that deal, or you're going to be very, very, very sorry if he doesn't. So you guys in the live chat, let me know what you think of that right now. That's crazy that may go down that way, any shape or form. That may be crazy. That's wild, though. But here's another thing. I heard there's a rumor that Tony Khan, if things don't go out as planned and nothing works out with TNT resigning, I heard Tony Khan may start AEW Network. That's a rumor, and there's another interview here, another podcast is talking about it, and this was Pro Wrestling Clips. They talked about it, so let's see what they had to say. They mentioned it, so I'm gonna pull that up now. I believe this was recent. This was maybe it's about a month ago. So it was originally from PW, their podcast. So let's see what did they mean by that. Put up now and see what they meant by Tony Khan possibly starting AEW Network.
A lot of heat for basically recently this past week or whatever for just coming out and giving your prediction, and you have somewhat of an insider, so you're giving your insight on the AEW TV deal, which myself and Awful Wrestling on the live show went to bat for you, and we broke it all down, and the clip of it actually drops tomorrow, guys, at Pro Wrestle Clips on YouTube there, but or actually probably the same day as this airs. So time cop, as Tony Khan would say, time cop. But either way, so we went to bat for you, and we were like, dude, Zarian got in the mix, Thurston got in the mix, and I think Brandon Thurston was more siding with you, like the way he was just sort of shooting it straight down the line. Now I went out and said, you've never trashed Zarian or trashed anybody else. You just give your opinion, and then people are fucking hating on you because of your sources, or because you're interpreted as anti-AEW, or because you're less known than Andrew Zarian. What's your perspective on all of that? And I want you to just quickly, in your thoughts, last minute prediction, what do you think happens with AEW? Tell us what you think will happen with the TV deal.
I mean, it's all of the above, and it's correct. I've never trashed Andrew Zarian, though I did give him grief about one thing, and that is the Max thing. And there might have been something else, but mostly, there was a day where he said he was having a really hard day, and I texted him the DM and said, "You're all right, dude. You're a good guy. You're a good guy." And Andrew Zarian is a good guy. He's extremely positive, and he's a sales guy, and he gets information from salespeople involved with these shows. So they're told to sell things, but not everything they're told to sell materializes. That's the world of sales. Anyone who's in sales knows that they'll sell this, sell that, and then this, that, and the other thing doesn't happen, or the time slot changes. But he also got some things famously wrong. He got TV 14 wrong. There were other things. He got Collision right. He's the only one that got Collision right. Mm-hmm. And I was scoffing at Collision for the same business reasons that I didn't believe in anything else. He got Mercedes Moné right. All right, that's 50-50. I got Mercedes Moné wrong. I was just guessing. He said he had insider information. I believe him.
Yeah, me too.
Now, but he's also been saying that Ring of Honor was going to go to Max. He also said AEW had already signed with Max. The documents were already done. They just haven't signed. So I don't want to make this about me and Zarian. And I mean, the one thing we both agreed on, and we both had in our sources, and I guess there's a date as to the chronology. See, I listen to Andrew Zarian on Sundays when it's free. I used to listen to Mat Men, but a few months ago they put it behind the paywall. So I don't hear him routinely. I like Mat Men. So I don't know if he reported it early or not, but we both reported that Tony Khan was using third parties to do his negotiations. He says there's nothing wrong with that. It happens all the time. Well, with all due respect, it doesn't happen all the time after this much time unless something's going wrong. I mean, anybody who's ever watched a cop show with a hostage negotiation knows when they change the negotiator, that's not a good sign. They think something's gone wrong. These negotiations have been going on for over 2 years, off and on. I mean, there was a deferral because of the 1 year extension. I think Brandon Thurston plays it down the line, but he's still extremely optimistic about how much money they're going to get. I think he's unrealistic about that. And he also starts from a place. Him and Dave Meltzer have told the world that AEW is right now getting $70 to $75 million a year. And I can tell you where they got the money from. We know that AEW started with like $33 million, and they got like a $12 million raise when Rampage was added and Battle of the Belts was going to be brought on. And Rampage, it took 10 months to develop, but also WBD was no longer covering production costs. And they would get an escalator. It was going to go up to something $46 million. So, and then they picked up the option with an increase. Everyone's saying it was a huge increase. I say it's the same type of percentage increase for the other years. And you can reverse engineer the math from 33 to 46 and, figure out that it's, probably around 5, 6, 7% a year. So let's give it the top dollar. Let's give it 7%, and that gets you to around 50 million or so. How did Thurston come up with the number? Well, Rampage plus Dynamite is 3 hours. Collision is 2 hours. That's 5 hours. 3/5, 60%. 2/5 is 40%. He simply took 40% of $50 million, put $20 million there, and got between $70 and $75 million. Because that's how TV works. Because the Saturday 2 hours merit the same money as the Wednesday Dynamite hours, which they don't, and we know that from Rampage. Yeah. Rampage got $11 million. So I mean, we know that it's not it's not the same. So anyway, I don't want to be at war with anyone, and I don't know why these particular tweets got such attention, because tweeting similar things for a long time. I know Thurston, I think, just muted me a long time ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
he kind of. I just wanted to say too, like what he said when he brought up the 250 million. Thurston was like,
Peacock is the exclusive streaming home of Oppenheimer.
He was more or less saying, yo, that's a high end if you factor in all of these things that really aren't really being factored in or discussed, but probably are behind the scenes. So, and we're talking high end for all of that 250 mil. I felt like he was more agreeing with you. Like me and Awful, it popped us because when we read his tweet, like under your tweets that Zarian was also in, Thurston, there was parts where he just said exactly what you said, but just in more words, and fucking people aren't mad at him. So, and that's the thing.
The dollars are different. I mean, the dollars are very different. And also he includes Max. And listen, it's a negotiation.
Max, Tony Khan, not to interrupt you, but during the press conference, which we'll get to, he basically stooged that that's not a thing. Tony Khan basically stooged that there's no fucking Max deal. That's not a thing. So, yeah. So again, you were right in that regard. And I just wanted to say though, like, yeah, it's not ugly between you and Zarian and Thurston and all of that. It's more or less like the fan base comes in and makes it ugly, like, or the IWC.
I actually wish Thurston would use me as a resource to give him, because he's so one-sided. And I also talk about, like, even on the Vince suit, however disgusting and depraved it is, all of his insight is basically assuming everything is absolutely 100% the gospel, and that's never the way it is in litigation. Lawsuits are not. The lawsuit that her lawyer filed is so unusual. It was obviously a shock and awe kind of thing to try to, bombast them to get them into a quick settlement, and that didn't happen because this isn't Vince's first rodeo. TKO's like, we're not part of this. WWE doesn't exist anymore in that entity, and and even in the complaint itself, there's years and years of text back and forth and all this other stuff. So, I mean, I don't want to sound like Andrew Tate, but there are triable issues here. Anyway, I just wanted to give, like months ago, I said, this is probably going to be dismissed to be sent to arbitration, not on the merits, but because there's an arbitration clause. And I know that because Stephen P. New lost it, to my chagrin, here in Maryland and the federal court of Maryland when he represented Kelly Klein and Joey Mercury against Ring of Honor and Sinclair, and I very much wanted him to win that case because I wanted all this.
Where do you think True TV's been on the table, Max, all this sort of stuff? And I'm going to play you Tony Khan's stuff later from the press conference, which might change your mind a little bit on your stance. Not that he gets too deep into it, but he is directly asked about it. But just as you sit right now, Evil Dose, where does AEW wind up? You don't have to get into like numbers of money, but you can if you want. But just where do they end up, and what is their approach going forward? Streaming, cable, a mix of both. Everyone's talking about the third hour, but I thought 3 hours was too shitty, and all the AEW fans are going, "Oh, third hour!" But I thought the third hour on Raw.
Third hour? Are you crazy? You guys are lost it. There's no way. I can't stomach AEW enough. We do not need that. All you're going to get is boos from the crowd. AEW does that. That'll be a big mistake. But then again, I can see them doing that for extra money. That's what WWE did. But AEW, not WWE. So you don't need to have an extra hour. Do not add a third hour to none of your programs. Not Dynamite, not Collision, none of it. Do not do that whatsoever. Do not add an hour to that. That will be a waste of everybody's time. Waste of the fans, waste of the networks, waste of the wrestlers, everybody. Do not add an extra third hour. Well, I'm going to continue on see what you guys got to say. It seems like they're on to something. It was talking about could they start their own network? That's the thing. Could AEW start their own network? So we'll see.
Fucking made the show suck to you guys. So which is it? Now you want a third hour of Dynamite? So do you think there's a third hour? Do you think they go to True TV? What is just your last and final sort of prediction as we head into the end of April and May and where everyone's saying it's crunch time?
They said wizardry.
Ring of Honor's left that out the door. There is going to be no Max. Max is not interested. I think that Rampage and Collision are probably going to be gone. If anything, they would be relegated to some secondary or tertiary network at all for nominal amounts of money.
So he said that Max is not interested in AEW. Is this why AEW is limited now to the TNT deal with Warner Brothers Media? And he also said something interesting too. He said that Rampage and Collision could go to a secondary network. Let me play that back.
They would be relegated to some secondary. Rampage and Collision Collision are probably going to be gone. If anything, they would be relegated to some secondary or tertiary network at all for nominal amounts of money. I mean, I believe that Collision is either getting a nominal amount of money that is too embarrassing for Tony to say, maybe just an equivalent of the escalator money, or that he's paying for the time. And I know that people think I'm crazy. Oh, that's where Andrew Zarian told me that I was in Bizarro World.
No, you're not crazy, man. I agree with you, because if you guys remember, I pulled up the ratings this year for Collision. Look at those ratings. They only the highest rating this year in 2024. The highest rate was 621,000, and that's all year. Now, June makes a year that Collision debuted. They normally average of 400,000 a week, maybe a little over 400 on a good week, and sometimes even down to 3. Like January, 300K, and 393 in March 16th episode. And also 378,000 in May 11th, which was a couple weeks ago. So this is not far off. I don't think you're crazy. I think you're onto something. And this is Pro Wrestle Clips. These guys are onto something. The ones who are hating, he said you're crazy because he's a AEW fan. So of course he's gonna think something wrong with you. But let's continue on, see what else he has to say in this interview. No wonder, because I heard the rumors of Max all last year, and now I don't hear it no more. Now he confirmed it. He said this was a month ago, Max is not interested in doing business with AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Let's continue on.
But answer me this. What TV show that you know that is paid by a network for 52 weeks out of a year just simply doesn't air 3 weeks out of the year so far, within the last 4 months, hasn't aired 3 times? Not preempted, not moved to a different time, not a different date, not a different network, not put after Rampage or before Rampage, just simply not aired at all, to the point where Tony Khan didn't even book an arena to have a show to tape.
People argue, oh, but it's like sports though, so subject to change and stuff. But it's really not. It's a TV show, you know? Sorry, you go ahead.
Well, the thing about wrestling is that's 52 years a week, and typically live, not always, but if they paid for, like, so unless you can find me a contract that says they paid for 44 weeks out of the year, and this was part of the plan, which is possible, it's entirely possible, but I think it's more likely he paid for the time, or he just got a very nominal amount, and there's a more generous ad split. Anyway, that's on board. You asked me where I think it's going to be.
Right.
With the last information I got, frankly, I think Warner Brothers Discovery walks. I'd say there's a 40% chance that Tony Khan buys a FCC signal and buys like whatever El Rey or Spike is now, which is probably nothing, and just gets that and goes, and airs it on, claims victory and says that was his plan all along, and uses Honor Club either as his plan B for streaming and pay-per-views, or just ends it all and just puts it all on his network. I think there's a 40% chance that it stays on Turner and they keep Dynamite. Whether or not they add Rampage or Collision as a third hour, or it's just considered a third hour Dynamite, I don't know. I don't care about that. I mean, whatever it is. And I think that the offer on the table is 90.
If they add a third hour, like I'm hearing again, I'm gonna feel like Michael Cole right now. I'm gonna really feel like Michael Cole. Yeah, do not add a third hour to that. Let's continue on.
$90 million for 5 years, but I can tell you that every day that goes by, especially when the exclusion period ends, that gets less, because last year there were no other bidders. There just weren't. AEW was told by Warner Brothers legal team to not air the footage from the UK, or that it could cause legal problems, privacy laws, and they didn't want to see it, and AEW did it anyway, which made them angry to furious, depending on who you're listening to. Now, I will say, my source...
Whoa. Did you guys hear that? Do you remember the episode of when AEW aired the footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry that broke the internet? The network told them not to do it, and they did it anyway? Let's play that back. I want to hear this again.
That gets less, because last year there were no other bidders. There just weren't. AEW was told by Warner Brothers legal team to not air the footage from the UK, or that it could cause legal problems, privacy laws, and they didn't want to see it. And AEW did it anyway, which made them angry to furious, depending on who you're listening to. Now, I will say, my source.
AEW, you know you're wrong for what you did. You know what you did, AEW. You know what you did.
I didn't know that. You know what you did. I know what you're talking about. I swear and swear. You know what you're a legend, man.
You know that's wrong, AEW. The AEW, you want to do what you want to do. Now I see why nobody want to do business with you guys, because you guys are high risk. Let's continue on this interview. Got another 8-9 minutes left.
She's gone dry. Like, she hasn't told me anything since Friday. So I don't know that my source that connected us said I could use her name, and maybe she didn't really want her name to be used. And maybe she got Twitter tagged a couple times. She didn't respond to anybody, but maybe she's like, I don't.
The IWC is lunacy, bro.
Yeah,
it's complete lunacy. I also heard, I actually heard this on another podcast. Who said it? Billy Body at the Dirty Sheets. People fucking hate his guts. Whatever you think about him aside, I'm just going based off what he said on his show. And he's been right about a lot of things that are pretty extreme. So he said that actually Tony sent like a letter. He was so mad about like all the Punk shit at WrestleMania and everything. And you know how WWE was showing like Daniel Bryan's yes moment at WrestleMania, and they weren't shying away. They were saying his name. And apparently Tony sent some sort of like letter or contacted WWE, or lawyers did, about like, hey, stop showing current contracted AEW talent on your TV and mentioning them and stuff like that, which I don't know if that's true at all, but just to sort of add to what you extreme. So he said that actually Tony sent like a letter. He was so mad about like all the Punk shit at WrestleMania and everything. And you know how WWE was showing like Daniel Bryan's yes moment at WrestleMania, and they weren't shying away. They were saying his name. And apparently Tony sent some sort of like letter or contacted WWE, or lawyers did, about like, hey, stop showing current contracted AEW talent on your TV and mentioning them and stuff like that, which I don't know if that's true at all, but just to sort of add to what you were saying, I feel as though this was a real, showing that footage was a shoot themselves in the foot moment, big time, on levels that we don't even realize.
I just realized something. Is that why CM Punk's not on WWE TV like that? Because he's still getting a buyout from AEW? Is that why he's limited on TV? Is that why they did the injury angle with CM Punk? I think that's the reason why. Because AEW sent letters. Let's play it again. Maybe I'm just hearing things. You guys let me know in the live chat. That's why CM Punk ain't been on TV. Not because of injury. Let me see what he said.
Actually, Tony sent like a letter. He was so mad about like all the Punk shit at Billy Body at the Dirty Sheets. People fucking hate his guts. Whatever you think about him aside, I'm just going based off what he said on his show. And he's been right about a lot of things that are pretty extreme. So he said that actually Tony sent like a letter. He was so mad about like all the Punk shit at WrestleMania and everything. And you know how WWE was showing like Daniel Bryan's yes moment at WrestleMania, and they weren't shying away. They were saying his name. And apparently Tony sent some sort of like letter or contacted WWE, or lawyers did, about like, hey, stop showing current contracted AEW talent on your TV and mentioning them and stuff.
Oh, he's talking about Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. Don't show him. Oh, that's why they was limited with the yes thing. I wonder why they would show for WrestleMania. Wow, AEW petty for that. Now, it had nothing to do with CM Punk. He mentioned the CM Punk WrestleMania. They meant Daniel Bryan, who is contracted through Daniel Bryan, who is contracted as Bryan Danielson's real name with AEW contract. I thought I heard, so I was hearing something else why I played it back. You said Figure 4 TV said no effing way. We want Raw to be 2 hours. Definitely, I want it to be 2 hours. Yes, yes, yes. I definitely want Raw to be 2 hours. What if Vince and Tony team up? That ain't gonna happen. Carl said, hell no, no, not at all. Big 4 TV said here, they sent letters about Dan Bryan. That was wrong for them. Plus, CM Punk was taking mega stabs at Tony. Yep. Yeah, AEW bogus for that. That's why CM Punk said what he had to say about him. Can't blame for that. Okay, let's see what else they had to say. But did you guys hear the part of how? Did you hear the part about how AEW? They said Max is no longer interested in them, and nobody's bidding to take on AEW TV. It's like literally they have only just Warner Bros. Left. So that deal has to work. Or Tony Khan starts new network or go to YouTube. Figure 4 TV said fine because MJF just got through ribbon Triple H, and they stayed dropping names. And he mentioned Vince McMahon at AEW Double or Nothing when he returned in that promo. But let's see what else he has to say.
Like that, which I don't know if that's true at all, but just to sort of add to what you were saying, yeah, like they were. I feel as though this was a real showing. That footage was a shoot themselves in the foot moment, big time on levels that we don't even realize on the surface level, unless Jack Perry goes on and becomes the next John Cena. You know, that's the only fucking way this worked.
And he's not. He's at the end of the day.
The rating slump. The go home show sucked. We're about to watch Dynamite tomorrow. AEW, and check me out, Pro Wrestle Games. I'll be gaming out and doing a watch along of Dynamite. Dose, if you're free, you can fucking join in anytime. But apparently Dynamite, or not apparently, like infamously, pardon me, they have the shittiest after pay-per-view shows as well. Like all their top guys aren't there and stuff like that typically. So, and then they're just building up Moxley like he just won the New Japan title, and they're like giving him this big fucking homecoming, and they wonder why people are questioning their TV deal. What's your problem?
One thing you said that's true. They after pay-per-view shows do be their media scrums are called pandering scrums. All they do is pander to AEW, and they always name drop WWE. No matter what pay-per-view it is, it's always like the media scrums are getting old and tired. Figure 4 TV said here, right, CM Punk was responding to them dropping that backstage footage. AEW's petty, they hit and then cry when they get hit back. And not just that, Figure 4 TV, as you heard these guys mention, Warner Brothers specifically told AEW do not air the footage from London of All In, and they disobeyed the order, and they went and did it. And that's kind of why they're reluctant on re-signing AEW to a new deal, because we asked you to do something, you did it, you was trying to reach for ratings, reach for shock value, and you could potentially have ruined your working relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery. So with that being said, you get a double whammy. You get the list and you get a stupid.
You just made the list! Kingston, jaw and face planted!
They must thought this is open mic night. You can do whatever you want to do.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
How do you disobey what the network asks you to do? Haven't you guys learned anything from TNA back in the day with Dixie Carter? When you remember when Spike TV told Dixie Carter do not have Vince Russo as a part of TNA, he did anyway, and they lost the TV deal. Have we learned anything from that situation, AEW? I think they really fumbled the namesake title of this stream. Why Tony Khan may fumble Warner Brothers offer. And this is proving it right here. Why? You don't even listen to a direct order. Do not air that footage. But you were so thirsty for reaching, it may cost you everything, and especially cost you the deal. And not only that, I think when you did air the footage, you pissed off Warner Bros. Discovery, and you also caused other companies to not even want to do business with you. They didn't want to bid no more. They didn't want to even bid on you. And then your ratings, as I showed earlier, all three shows, are another proof of that. So this does not look good for AEW. This is a bad look on review, what your ratings wise, on your business wise, and your partnership wise listening. This is terrible, AEW. Figure 4 TV said dummies, little kids run the building. They are dummies, the biggest dummies. This is stupid. Matter of fact, I gotta give you no stupid for this. This is really stupid.
Kingston, jaw and face planted.
But let's continue on to in this, not interview, but this podcast, I should say. Let's continue on with the podcast of Pro Wrestle Clips.
Product. Is it fucking Ring of Honor? Is it New Japan? Is it AEW? What's your product, man? Like, what's going on? And I argue that, and I've said it a million times, the listeners are probably going to be like, Phil, shut the fuck up, but I'm going to say it here for Dose. AEW's not a pro wrestling company. They're like, they are as far as like what they do, like they're put together matches and put them on TV, but they don't run house shows. They don't have training facilities. They don't have anything like that. They're not investing into like the future of wrestling.
Wait a minute. That is an important statement he just said. That is money, what he just said. I want to play that back because he is spot on. Phil Marks, Pro Wrestling Times, you right about that. I'm going to play that back. He said something very important about what AEW really is. Here, let's run that back.
A pro wrestling company. They're there and stuff like that typically. So, and then they're just building up Moxley like he just won the New Japan title, and they're like giving him this big fucking homer. Is it New Japan? Is it AEW? What's your product, man? Like what's going on? And I argue that, and I've said it a million times. The listeners are probably going to be like, Phil, shut the fuck up, but I'm going to say it here for Dose. AEW's not a pro wrestling company. They're like, they are as far as like what they do, like they're put together matches and put them on TV, but they don't run house shows. They don't have training facilities. They don't have anything like that. They're not investing into like the future of wrestling. All they're doing is like signing up talent. Like Tony's trying to monopolize talent and shit, like the same way WWE used to. He's become like a mini Vince. I'm calling him Tony Khan from now on because he even appeared on camera. He's becoming a fucking heel. He appeared on camera with the Bucks, who are the heels, and he's like, yeah, let's go, let's get it. And and he's like in gorilla with them or whatever, and it's just like he's working himself into being an on-screen heel, and we saw him copy the camera angle where he walks down the ramp at Dynasty or on Dynamite. It was on Dynamite, yeah. He walked down the ramp with the camera and did like the shot WWE's doing, and I talked about it on the last show. He could be the one innovating this shit, but instead of doing that, he's just following suit, and he's behind on everything, and now he's becoming a little villain character. And ultimately, though, what AEW is it's a fucking TV show. It's not a pro wrestling. They're not investing in the future.
Man, he is right. He gets one of these for that. That dude is spot on what he's saying.
Because I am that damn good.
That is exactly what AEW is. Just a TV show. They are not a pro wrestling company. And I said that too. They don't have a training facility. There is no developmental program. There is no NXT. There is no place to train and develop, get your wrestlers better. There is no future. It's a right now. It's nothing but an ATM. That's all AEW is. I should call it not AEW, call it ATM, because it's all about money, 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 and cutting checks. That's all it's about. I'm going to quote a line from, I know he has the worst name right now in the world right now, all across. I'm going to take it from Diddy. Diddy said, I quote, I don't write rhymes, I write checks. Tony Khan, I'm going to say this about you. You don't wrestle, you don't do no wrestling business, you just write checks. That's all you are. And he called it Tony Khan. But you are like a little mini Vince. Definitely. Let's see what you guys got to say. Figure 4 TV says so they are banking on his TV deal and Tony Dad's wallet. Yes, that's all they have is the Warner Bros. Discovery deal. We see that's what these guys are saying. The Max deal. They pulled out of the deal. I mean, they pulled out of the interest. They pulled out interest. They just pulled out. They're not interested in AEW anymore. And other companies are not interested anymore. They have literally hanging their hat on Warner Bros. Discovery. And y'all said they will have to pay to keep these garbage on television. Unfortunately, they do. Yeah, this is disgusting though. But these guys are dropping gems right now. WWE is professional. It's a wrestling company. AEW just a TV show. That is the best way to put it. And he said, Tony Khan is like Vince McMahon, how he used to run it. But try to monopolize everything. Man, he's spot on. Let me play the rest of this podcast.
Pro wrestling, it's just a show that airs, 4 times a fucking month. Like, other than that, there's no house shows, there's no developing young talent. So I don't know. To me, it's just they're just filming shitloads of TV, and Tony is like 10 years behind on this. Like, have as much content as possible so you can just sell it to all these like Netflix. Like, remember when everyone, when it was the pandemic, everyone was just buying every piece of content there was. People were just shilling dollars. It's like he's like 5 years behind, and he's like stuck in that approach. Like, if I just keep filming Ring of Honor with 300 people here, I'll sell it to net. Like, what does he think? I just have no idea what he's even thinking. And that's why the TV deal gets questioned and all of that. No, we're not experts. Dose looks into this shit way more than me. Maybe he is an expert. I'm fucking not. But just like my friend Dose, I like to fucking dig into this. I like to just get into. I'm not trying to break news. I'm not trying to be the one like, my first real headline, I got it. I broke through into the news. I'm not trying to do that. I just enjoy this shit. I'm a sycophant, if you will, over professional wrestling. You know what I mean? I fucking just dive in. Yeah, sorry. What do you What are you trying to say there, Dose?
Well, you said a lot, and I'm not sure that I agree necessarily with all of it, but the things I disagree with are not important enough to take up time, really.
Yeah,
as far as Tony Khan, I mean, I don't think that I think anything that different than anyone else. I think he's, he's a beneficiary of the Lucky Sperm Club. I don't think that he's ever had the words no said to him. I think that he's in a lot of ways sort of a child savant. So he's got a brain for certain things like numbers and stats. Like, there was always the kid in 3rd grade who knew the stats of every baseball card of every player. I think that's Tony, but he ignores the stats he doesn't want to see. It's like, no, I can't hear what Jeffrey is saying. Because he doesn't see the drops. He doesn't see every time, the Orange Cassidy is not in the Big Bang Theory slot, that 200,000 people tune out, or 110,000 people. He doesn't see that every time the Bucks come on the TV, no matter who they're with, everything goes down. He doesn't see that nobody's interested in basically Ring of Honor 2009 through 2015. And by the way, folks, I know that when I say nobody, that doesn't mean nobody.
We're talking in generalities here. And I've said exactly what you said. If people were going to start watching Ring of Honor, Tony Khan, 1 million people were going to start, they'd have done it already.
Right.
But they're not interested, so just focus on AEW.
Right.
That's the problem
and
with
the things
AEW.
We don't hear about from like WrestleNomics, like Nomics things they could cover. How many Honor Club subscribers are there? How many people are watching NWA on the CW app? What are MLW's pay-per-view buys? What are NWA's pay-per-view buys? How many people buy New Japan World subscriptions? I mean, it's not just about AEW. They don't cover anything except WWE numbers, and whatever number Tony gives them about pay-per-views, they report as if it's gospel, and probably 3/4 of those tend to be inflated by 20% when they finally get reported like 10 months down the line. Now, some of them
when no one even knows,
but nobody believes it, because I mean, there's still people who are telling me they signed a $1 billion contract a year ago for 5 years. There are people who still tell me that all of AEW's wrestlers are employees and get health insurance. I mean,
oh my goodness. Wow.
When AEW started, I mean, I was really excited about it. Then I saw how they populated, and I wasn't so excited. Then they added some wrestlers that I liked, and I was like, okay, this can be cool and whatever. We'll see. We'll give it a chance. And then there was like just this march of 1,000 lies, both big and small, and some of them I attributed to growing pains or not knowing any better, like the union thing and the employees thing. Cody said, no, we can't do that. He had to walk it back, and then the Buck said something else, and Cody had to walk it back. And there's just been, we're not going to hire every WWE person. Well, I mean, their roster
that's all
120. I mean, they still have Cole Carter on there who's swimming with the fit. I mean, You know, it's ridiculous. Tony Nese and God knows how many people he's hiding under Ring of Honor contracts as far as money is concerned.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. And so, speaking of it, you know, AEW Dynasty went down this past weekend. I actually tapped in and I was watching it with Awful Wrestling, AEW Full Wrestling. He was on the live stream a couple of shows back, last live stream, I think, and
AEW is trash, man. It's trash. They dogging it.
You just made the list!
Yeah, it's funny how they roast the AEW. Almost done with this podcast here. Let's see what else they have to say.
he's also frequents Toonie Talk. And yeah, and your other show too is the Hammerlock Headlines, correct?
Hammerlock Hangover is my wrestling podcast.
Hangover, pardon me. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, and so make sure you go check that out. And
all right, guys, that was the interview of Pro Wrestle Clips. They were dropping gems on there. Salute to that channel. And the thing about it is, let's do a quick recap. Now, we have Tony Khan. We're questioning if he's going to fumble the AEW Warner Brothers offer. Is he going to let this go? We talked about the ratings of Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite, the three shows that air weekly on TNT and TBS. We showed it for the whole year. Not stellar, not the best, not the worst ever, but not the best either. We're supposed to be the second biggest wrestling company in the world behind WWE. We go off interviews how TNT definitely could possibly lose NBA. They said it's the owner company, the shareholders do not care for the NBA. They could go to Amazon, ESPN, ABC, Disney, etc., etc. Then we have interviews from Tony Khan talking about currently AEW. Then we have Pro Wrestle Clips, who really broke it down of how Tony was thinking about starting the AEW network due to Warner Bros. Is reluctant now. Now that we hear that they told AEW not to air that footage of All In of Jack Perry and CM Punk at All In London last August 2023. And they did it anyway. That kind of course, put a strain on their working business relationship, and they're still reluctant on signing them. Other companies pulled out of putting a bid in to get AEW television on their network. And if things do not work out well, where AEW could restart with Warner Bros. Media, Discovery, they could be on, I don't know, Tony does start a network, and maybe he will be on maybe secondary television. He may be on a YouTube for all we know. And of course, like I said, Pro Wrestle Clips broke all that stuff down good. He said it best. AEW is not a pro wrestling company that looks towards the future and building and developing its stars, men and women's divisions. It's just a TV show, a crappy TV show at that. So these guys, they broke it down very well. But you guys let me know, what do you think of the whole thing regarding Tony Khan? Is he going to fumble the Warner Brothers offer because he's reportedly, allegedly not happy with the current offer that Warner Bros. Media offered him? This has been a good one, guys. You guys let me know in the live chat and also on the playback. What do you think of this whole current situation? Will Tony Khan be able to get AEW to re-sign Warner Bros. Discovery before it's too late? That's the whole namesake of the whole thing. Can he, have a second thought, maybe have a change of heart, maybe think things through and just sign with them before they don't want to deal with AEW no more? But that's what I think of the whole thing. I appreciate you guys coming out to the locker room tonight. You guys leave the locker room, get back to what we do. It's late. Probably get some sleep and get ready for tomorrow. Soon two videos will pop up. One will be Remember the Disastrous Turning Point 2011. The next video will be Remember when Jeff Hardy was last arrested. Until then, it is OUT.